Tonight, we're diving into a really chilling Gothic allegory. It's about a mysterious being and the terrifying price of human arrogance. We're going to journey through a dark fable first, and then we'll unpack the profound philosophy that's hiding in its shadows. This is the story of the Red Specter.
It doesn't arrive with some big dramatic warning. It shows up with this simple, terrifying statement. And this one line, it just sets the stage perfectly for a truth that you just can't escape, no matter how high we build our walls.
So we're going to tackle this story in 2 acts. First up, we'll follow the Spectre on its grim journey. And then we'll switch gears and decode what it all really means, and maybe what it says about us.
All right, let's start with the story itself. Where does a creature like the Red Specter even come from? And what on earth could possibly drive it out of the shadows and into the world of men?
Well, after 30 long years of just being alone in these shadowed valleys, the Spectre gets tired of it. It rises with the sun, but it's not driven by normal hunger. The source says it has a hunger that was not of the flesh. It feels this heavy ripeness, like it has to go down and bestow its crimson gift. So this isn't about simple evil, you see. It's more like a force of nature, like a storm that's just ready to burst, and it's looking for a world that has convinced itself it's perfectly safe.
So on its way down, it runs into this holy man, a saint who's all about the sanctity of life. But the Spectre, it sees right through the prayers. It gives this slow smile, a parting of bloody lips, because it knows what the hermit's god really is, a shadow. Just a story we tell ourselves because we're terrified of the coming rot. It doesn't argue, it doesn't debate, it just walks on by, leaving the holy man to his prayers in a silence that you just know is about to be filled with screams.
And so, the Spectre leaves that hermit behind and arrives at its first real stop, a great city. A huge monument to everything humans have achieved, and, as we're about to see, to how blind they can be.
And the imagery here is just fantastic. You've got this whole crowd in a marketplace, totally mesmerized by a guy on a tightrope. They are completely captivated by this manufactured fake risk, and they're totally blind to the real existential danger that has just strolled right into the middle of them.
And this is their fatal mistake. The Spectre literally tells them why it's there, and what do? They laugh. They think it's a joke, some kind of street performance. They're just too smart, too sophisticated to recognize a fundamental truth when it's staring them in the face. And the best part? The source says the rope itself is already fraying, not from the walker, but from the invisible weight of their own arrogance. And then, boom, reality hits. The show turns into a horror movie. The source calls this moment the Great Noon, which is such a powerful idea. It's the peak of human achievement, right? The highest point of the sun, right before it starts to set in a pool of gore. The performance is definitely over.
But that whole city, that was just the appetizer. Now the Spectre turns its gaze toward the main course, a place that was built for the sole purpose of denying the very truth that it represents.
It sees this distant golden abbey. It's a sanctuary where the rich and the powerful have all gathered together, thinking that their money and their stone walls can let them outwit the natural order of decay. But the Spectre doesn't see a fortress. No. It sees an overgrown garden of pride, full of poisonous flowers that are just begging for a master gardener to come and do some pruning.
Now, this part is absolutely crucial. The Spectre is not some slasher villain. It doesn't even carry a weapon. Its presence is the harvest. Its breath is what causes the decay. Every single step it takes toward those golden gates leaves a footprint of rust on the ground. You see? This isn't some tragedy falling upon the world. It's being presented as a necessary change, a transformation for a world that has forgotten how to die.
So, okay, that's a terrifying, pretty poetic story. But it's an allegory, right? Which means every little piece of it is a symbol for something way, way deeper. So let's switch gears. Welcome to Act 2. Let's unlock the philosophy behind this fable.
All right, we're moving from the story to what the story means. What is this inevitable truth that the Red Spectre is trying to teach all of us?
First things first, let's define our main character. The Spectre isn't really a demon or a monster. It's a metaphor. It's the physical form of every single truth we try to push down and ignore. The fact that everything falls apart, that chaos is the default setting, and that all our order is temporary. It's the void we spend our entire lives pretending isn't there.
So the big question is, why do we deny these things? Well, a concept from a related text actually gives us a huge clue. It's called the Pharisees' paradox, and it basically describes this trap that's hidden inside our own human desire for total safety and perfect order.
And this paradox, it explains the why we build places like that Golden Abbey. It's all about building ourselves a beautiful gilded cage to try and keep reality out.
Okay, so here's how the paradox works. To feel like we're in control, we have to first convince ourselves that the abyss, chaos, meaninglessness, just doesn't exist. So we build this polished silver floor made of laws and beliefs and routines, all to cover up the void. And that floor becomes our gilded cage. It feels safe, it looks beautiful, but it is built on a massive lie. We forget that our safety is just like that fragile rope from the story, stretched right over the very void we're trying to ignore.
And right here, this is where the fable and the philosophy just click together perfectly. That abbey from the story, that fortress of wealth built to defy decay, it's the perfect, literal metaphor for the philosophical gilded cage. It's the external building that represents the internal walls we all put up to hide from truths that make us uncomfortable.
So then, what's the final, inevitable truth that this whole allegory is screaming at us? What happens when the red specter finally shows up at the gates of our own gilded cage?
And here is the big takeaway. The Specter isn't some random evil that invades us. It's a consequence. It's something we summon ourselves. Our obsessive need to build a perfect, sterile world, to deny the coming rot and pave over the abyss, that's the very thing that makes us so fragile. Our arrogance is what makes us forget we're on a tightrope in the first place, and that is exactly when we fall. Remember this line from the marketplace? When the Specter first said it, it just sounded like some weird cryptic proverb. But now we can feel the full weight of it. We are constantly in this shaky balance between our primal instincts and total, meaningless chaos. We're not standing on solid ground. We are the bridge.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question to think about. The story suggests that by trying so damn hard to deny the abyss, by building our gilded cages and pretending the void isn't there, we actually lean too far, and we end up summoning the very thing we're so afraid of. So when you look at the world we've built for ourselves, which way do you think we're leaning?